Yeah, so welcome back to the physically based animation class for the 7th week. Yeah, this is the final week before your midterm exam. Yeah, for today we will talk about the conservation of momentum. Yeah, this continues our discussion from the Newton's law. Yeah, so for today we only have one topic left. Yeah, that is the law of conservation of momentum. Ya, in the high school you may recognize it as hukum kekekalan momentum, ya, or HKM. Yeah, maybe today we will simply call it LCM, ya, law of conservation of momentum. Okay, let's see. What is exactly the law of conservation of momentum? Yeah, let's say revisit the second Newton's law. Yeah, if you remember, the resultant of forces working on an object is equal to the changes of momentum. Yeah, here it is defined as sigma f equals to dp dt. Yeah, the changes of momentum over time. Yeah, or if we observe the changes of the momentum in a discrete time, then we can simply call it sigma f equals to delta p per delta t. Yeah. If I move my dt or delta t to the left hand side of the equation, I will get f times delta t equals to delta p. Yeah, f times delta t is impulse. Yeah, we defined it. Impulse is the change in momentum. Yeah, here I have some illustration here. Yeah, if only the time change, it means that we have changes in momentum. Yeah, depends on the changes in time. Yeah, maybe the object will not uh, be feeling the changes in momentum. Yeah, so for example, here I have a boxer which is being hit. Yeah, compare if he is being hit with a jab of, let's say, 1 second compared with 0.1 second. Yeah, maybe he will not feel anything significant. Yeah, but if the F changes, yeah, then the force, we have the changes in force. Meanwhile, for the time it takes for the jab to actually hit our boxer is still the same. Yeah, maybe he will feel more force towards his face. Yeah. So this is some illustration to illustrate changes in momentum may means that we have changes in time or changes in the force. Yeah, either way, it will result in changes in momentum. Yeah, so momentum of a moving object is the product of its mass times its velocity. Yeah, we have know this equation from our last week. Yeah, momentum p is equal to m times v. Yeah, here because the v velocity is a vector, then a momentum p is also a vector. Yeah, maybe you may ask me, yeah, why the symbol for the momentum is p, not m. Yeah, actually, if we symbolize momentum as m, it will confuse with this m, yeah, little m as mass. Yeah, that's why we choose p. Yeah, you can Google it. Yeah, why we choose p as momentum. There are two major reasons. Yeah, actually, we don't know for sure why we chose p. Yeah, one reason is because p is was noted by a German scientist. Yeah, and in the 19th, I think early 19th, yeah, German mathematicians and physicians had quite a big influence in mathematics and physics. Yes, they use p as the notation for momentum, so that's why we also use p. Yeah, the other reason is I can't really remember the exact word. Yeah, but p is actually a word in Latin. Yeah, you may want to take a look for the exact word. I can't really remember what p stands for. Yeah, but for now, momentum is symbolized with the symbol p. Yeah, and p is also a factor here. Yeah, back in the old days, in the Principia Mathematica, yeah, in 1686, Newton called mv as the quantity of motion. Now we call it momentum. Yeah, some illustration for momentum in daily life. Yeah, the first one is the object with a huge momentum is difficult to stop. Yeah, that's why if you have ever saw accident, yeah, involving a very big truck, yeah, usually the truck will be very hard to actually stop. Yeah, unless the object that hit the truck is bigger than the truck. Yeah, so for example, let's say that the truck actually hits wall. Yeah, if the truck moves in a very fast velocity, then actually the wall will crumble. Yeah, when it is hit by the truck. Yeah, the object with a huge momentum yields significant impact when collides with the other objects. Yeah, if we are hit by someone else which is much bigger than us, yeah, we will feel more pain compared to someone smaller. Yeah, that is momentum in daily life. Okay, so let's take a case here. Yeah, impulse equals to changes in momentum. Yeah, let's say while practicing tennis, yeah, Jono received a ball with a velocity of 2 meters per second. Yeah, and then Jono hit the ball so that it moved 3 meters per second in the opposite direction. If the mass of the tennis ball is 0.2 kilogram and the tennis racket had a contact with the ball for 0.1 seconds, then how much force did the racket apply to the ball? Okay, firstly, let's write down all the known quantities here, and let's assume that right is the positive direction. Okay, we have the, let's say, yeah, the mass of the tennis ball is 0.2 kilogram. Yeah, and the initial velocity is negative 2 meter per second. Yeah, initial velocity to the left, so it is negative 2. And then for the final velocity, yeah, in Indonesia, we usually denote it with V single quote. Yeah, I will just call it V quote for simplicity. Yeah, but in English, they have some different notations. Yeah, sometimes they call it VI and VF. Yeah, I stands for initial and F stands for final. Sometimes they use U and V. Yeah, either U is used for initial velocity, or sometimes they also use U as final velocity. Yeah, for now, let's take the Indonesian notation. We use V for the initial velocity and V single quote or V apostrophe, yeah, for the final velocity. Yeah, and I will simply call it V quote from now on. Yeah, V quote is 3 meter per second because it is to the right, yeah, then the sign of this V quote is positive. Yeah, and then the tennis racket had contact with the ball for 0.1 seconds. We have delta t here equals to 0.1 second. Okay, by the definition, impulse is changes in momentum. So we can write down F times delta t equals to delta p. Yeah, delta p is p final minus p initial. Yeah, p we know it's m times v. Then we can open this to p's. Yeah, F times delta t equals to mv quote minus mv. Then just plug in the numbers, yeah, the known values. F times 0.1 equals to 0.2 times, we group the v quote and v. Yeah, v quote is 3, and then we subtract it by v, which is negative 2. If we calculate this, then we get F equals to 10 Newton. Yeah, and since the sign of F is positive, yeah, as illustrated here, we can assume that the bed moved to the right. Not the bed. Actually, it is the ball here. Maybe I mistyped it here. Yeah, since F is positive, then the ball moved to the right, yeah, as illustrated here. Yeah, okay, so this is the first case. Yeah, impulse is changes in momentum. Momentum, not momentum. Yeah. Okay, now if we use the first Newton's law, yeah, we can derive the conservation of momentum. Yeah, as defined by Newton's law in the Principia Mathematica, yeah, F equals to dp dt or ma. Yeah, if the resultant of force on a given object is 0, yeah, then dp also equals to 0, yeah, or delta p also 0. Yeah, this means when there is no external force, the momentum of the system does not change. Yeah, so we get the law of conservation of momentum here. Initial momentum equals to the final momentum of the system. Yeah, and we must remember that it is assumed that there is no external force happens to the system. Yeah, so this is the law of conservation of momentum or HKM, hukum kekekalan momentum ya. Delta P equals to final P final subtracted by P initial equals to 0. So we can form a new equation P final or P initial. Yeah, P final equals to the P initial, or you can also say P initial equals to the P final. Yeah, tools here. Yeah, it is called a Newton's cradle. Yeah, this demonstrates the conservation of momentum. Yeah, if you ever see one, maybe in real life or in some movies. Yeah, this is a cradle which consists of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 metal balls. Yeah, strapped to the both side of this also metal stand. Yeah, if we move the first ball and then just release it, then the momentum will carry over to the last ball. Yeah, so that it also moves in the very same way as the first ball. Yeah, assuming that there is no external force happens to the Newton's cradle, then the first and the last ball will move indefinitely like this. Yeah, although obviously this is a GIF, yeah, but maybe next time if you find a Newton's cradle in real life, then you can try it. Yeah, just pull one ball, then release it. Yeah, and you can see that they will move indefinitely. Okay, so the principle of the conservation of momentum states that if two objects collide, yeah, the total momentum before the collision is the same as the total momentum after the collision. Yeah, but please remember that it is provided that no external forces act on the system. Yeah, for example, like friction. Yeah, later we will assume that there is no external forces at all. Yeah, friction or maybe wind drag and so on. Yeah, let's take a look at the second case. Yeah, about the LCM, law of conservation of momentum. Yeah, as illustrated here, 1-ton cannon fired a 5-kilogram cannonball with a velocity of 100 meter per second. Let's calculate the velocity of the cannon the moment it was firing. Yeah, again, to be able to answer this question, let's state what it is known. Yeah, what we know so far. The cannon mass. Yeah, let's denote it with the capital M. There is 100. Sorry, not 100. 1,000 kilogram. Yeah, 1 ton. And then the cannon velocity for the final one is Vm quote. For the initial one, only Vm. Yeah, but the Vm is 0. The initial velocity of the cannon is 0. Yeah, because obviously it didn't move. And let's take a look at the cannonball. Yeah. The cannonball mass, lowercase m here is 5 kilogram. And then the cannonball velocity for the final velocity, Vp quote, yeah, equals to 100 meter per second here. And the Vp 0, the Vp, the initial velocity for the cannonball is 0 because it did not move. Yeah, and for the P initial, the initial momentum is 0 because prior to firing, the system was still, they did not move at all. And then for the final momentum, P final, it is equal to M times V M quote plus M times V P quote. Yeah, the momentum of the cannon summed with the momentum of the cannonball. Okay, according to the LCM, P final equals to the P initial. Yes, we know P final is M times M blah blah blah. Yeah, this is actually inverted. Yeah, so this one should be P initial equals to the P final because we know P initial is actually 0. Yeah, and P final is the capital M times Vm code plus the lowercase m times Vp code. Just plug in all the values. Yeah. So 0 equals to the 1000 times Vm plus 5 times 100. Yeah, from the Vp code. Okay, let's see. This should be VM code. Yeah, I missed the codes here. Yeah, so this one should be 0 times 100. Sorry, 0 equals to the 1000 times VM code plus 5 times 100. So we have VM code equals to negative 500 divided by 1000 equals to 0.5 meter per second. Yeah, because the velocity is negative, it means that the cannon moved in the opposite direction with the ball. Yeah, as you can see in this illustration. Yeah, when firing, the cannon actually moved a little bit to the left, while the ball, the cannonball will move to the right. Okay, I think for this point, any questions maybe? Oh, there's only two of you. Yeah, that's fine. Yes, Naufal?
Okay, sir.
Oh, not yet. Okay. Okay, I think let's continue. Yeah, later I will correct this one. Yeah, this one should be VM codes. Okay, another case for the LCM is the collision of two objects. Yeah, before the collision, we have let's say two balls here. Yeah, with the mass of m1 and m2, and both velocity v1 and v2. After the collision, they moved with the v1 code and v2 code. Yeah, sometimes they will move in the opposite direction. Sometimes they will move in the same direction, or any other combinations. Yeah, we will see when actually they will move to the opposite direction as their initial velocity, or when they will actually move to the same direction, or maybe they stopped altogether. Yeah, but it is assumed that here m does not change. Yeah, remember that the initial momentum P initial here is m1 v1 plus m2 v2, and P final equals to m1 v1 quote plus m2 v2 quote. Because we have the LCM, yeah, P initial equal to P final, hence we have m1 v1 plus m2 v2 equals to the m1 v1 quote plus m2 v2 quote. Yeah, maybe your high school teacher, yeah, your physics high school teacher gave you the final formula m1 v1 plus m2 v2 times m1 v1 quote plus m2 v2 quote. Yeah, but actually it is derived from LCM. Yeah, as long as you remember what is P, yeah, how to calculate momentum, then you don't really need to memorize this formula actually. Okay, with the collision of two objects, we now have another term here. Yeah, coefficient of restitution, or it is simply called E. Yeah, it determines the type of collision. Yeah, and E is influenced by the surface properties of colliding objects. Yeah, if E equals to 1, yeah, then we call an elastic collision. There is no energy lost. Yeah, both momentum and the kinetic energy are conserved. Yeah, for example here, yeah, again, let's assume that there is no external forces, some such as friction. Yeah, that's why here we have the example of a billiard ball. Yeah, if we do not consider the friction, yeah, for the ball with the billiard table, yeah, then when the billiard ball hits another ball, then it will move directly opposite to their initial velocity. Yeah, we will see the case later when E is equal to 1. Yeah, in the meantime, when E is equal to 0, we call it an inelastic collision. Yeah, we have energy loss. Yeah, actually, we for the system, it lost all of its energy. Yeah, and then usually we can conclude that V1 quote is equal to V2 quote. Yeah, both objects will stick together and move to the same direction. Yeah, again, we will see the case when E equals to 0. For other cases, yeah, it is actual collision. Yeah, E, the only possible value for E, yeah, is from 0 to 1. Yeah, we don't really observe if E is greater than 1 or E is negative. Yeah, there is no such value for E. Yeah, the possible values for E only from 0 up to 1. Yeah, here if E is somewhere between 0 and 1, we call it actual collisions. There are some energy loss, yeah, not all. Yeah, and actually most collisions fall between elastic and inelastic collisions. Yeah, in real life, it is very rare to actually observe elastic collisions. Okay, let's take a look at this. Yeah, actually, this is a little bit absurd example, but this may illustrate how we work with the coefficient of restitution or the LCM. Yeah, for now. Okay, so we have two fish here. Yeah, we have M, capital M, the mass of this yellow fish. Yeah, yellow big fish, and the velocity of the big fish is 5 km per hour, and then M. The small m is the mass of the small fish. It does not move, so we have V2 equals to 0. And we know that the mass of big fish is 4 times the mass of small fish. Yeah, and as illustrated here, after collision, both the fish are combined and move together. Then we can determine their velocity with the assumption that right is the positive direction. Yeah, so simply just plug into the LCM. P initial equal to the P final. Yeah, M capital M times V1 plus small m times V2 equals to the V quotes times M, the big M and the small m summed together. Yeah, because we only know that M equals to 4M. Then if we calculate everything, we get the V quote is actually 4 km per hour. That means that both fish moves to the right with the velocity of 4 km per hour. Yeah, another case if is something like this. Yeah, now it is reversed. Yeah, the mass of big fish is still unknown. Yeah, we only know M, but now the big fish is still. Yeah, the velocity of the big fish equals to 0. Yeah, in the meantime, the velocity of the small fish is negative 5 km per hour because it is to the left. Yeah, and we still know that m equals to 4m, and after collision, both fish are combined and move together. Yeah, still the same, just plug into the LCM. Yeah, m1 v1 plus m2 v2 equals to m1 v1 quote and plus m2 v2 quote. Then we will get a negative 1 km per hour. Yeah, so the combined final velocity for both fish is 1 km per hour to the left. Okay, another case. Oh, there are some revelation here already. Yeah, don't worry. Let's see. For this case, yeah, we will observe a collision between two balls. Yeah, a 2 kilogram ball moving 5 meter per second collides with 1 kilogram ball moving 7 meter per second in the opposite direction. Let's calculate its ball velocity if the coefficient of restitution, or E, yeah, is 0.5. Yeah, again, we will write down the known values, yeah, and as usual, the assumption is right is positive. M1 is 2 kilo, V1 is 5, positive to the right. M2 is 1 kilo, V2 is negative 7 because the ball moved to the opposite direction, which is to the left, yeah. And then use the LCM again, M1 V2 plus M2 V2 equals to M1 V2 quote plus M2 V2 quote. Yeah, plug in everything, then actually we cannot solve the equation now. We have two unknown values, yeah. 3 equals to 2 V1 quote plus 2 plus V2 quote. Yeah, but we have E now. Yeah, so just plug in the formula. Oh, I have not mentioned the formula, yeah. E equals to negative V1 quote minus V2 quote divided by V1 minus V2. Yeah, don't worry if you accidentally flipped the index. Yeah, so for example, if you put V2 minus V1, it's okay as long as both sides, yeah, the uppercase and the lowercase is also in the same index. Yeah, so if you accidentally swapped V2 quote minus V1 quote, yeah, make sure you divide them by V2 minus V1. Yeah, but for now, you can just remember that V1 minus V2. Yeah, 1 and then 2. Yeah, so plug in everything. 0.5 equals to negative V1 quote minus V2 quotes. Yeah, both are unknown for now. Divided by 5 minus negative 7, we get V1 quote minus V2 quote equals to negative 6. Yeah, then you have two equations. Yeah, it is a linear equation system. Then you can solve either using substitution or elimination. Yeah, here we use substitution. So V1 equals to V2 quote minus 6. Plug it into the first equation. Yeah, V1 quote is replaced by V2 quote minus 6. Then solve everything, you get V2 quote is 5 meter per second. Yeah, and then you can calculate for V1 using this second equation. V1 quote is V2 quote minus 6. 5 minus 6 is negative 1 meter per second. Yeah, so as you can see here, for the first ball, yeah, it moved to the right before collision, and then after collision, it actually moves to the left. The same with the second ball. Yeah, for the second ball, it moved to the left before the collision, and after collision, yeah, we observe V2 quote is actually positive. Then after collision, the second ball moves to the right. Yeah, after collision, ball 1 moves 1 meter per second to the left, and ball 2 moves 5 meter per second to the right. Yeah, this is usually the case when E is somewhere between 0 and 1. Yeah, usually the final velocity will be in the opposite direction as the initial velocity. Yeah, you can see if you replace the coefficient of restitution with 0 or 1. Yeah, for any value, the solution is still the same. Yeah, how to come to this solution. Yeah, just plug in everything using LCM and the formula of E, and then solve the linear equation system. Then you will be able to get the final velocities. Yeah, any questions maybe?
So we're gonna have two solutions here, right?
For this case.
Yes.
Yeah, for this case, because we are required to calculate each ball's velocity, then the answer is actually V1 and V2 quotes. Yeah, so the answer is within this box. Yeah, the ball 1 moves 1 meter per second to the left, or you can simply stop here. Yeah, V1 quote equals to negative 1 meter per second, and ball 2 moves 5 meter per second to the right, or V2 quote equals to 5 meter per second. Yeah, so the answers for this case is both V1 quote and V2 quote.
Okay, sir. So we don't need to determine the what's it called, the movement, yeah, where the ball goes. How to say it?
The
The
direction
ball.
of the
Yeah, direction of
balls after
ball. Yes.
collision.
Yes, sir.
Usually, you can simply just look at the sign for both velocities. Yeah, if your assumption is right is positive, then if your value is also positive, then the second ball will move to the positive direction, which is right. For the V1, yeah, because it is negative, so it moves to the opposite direction of right, which is left.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it is actually preferable to have this conclusion at the very end of your answer. Yeah, actually. Yeah,
Okay,
so
sir.
let's see. Yeah, I guess please have a conclusion at the very end of your answer. Yeah, please don't stop here. V1 equals to negative 1 and V2 equals to the 5. Although I can simply deduct from your answers, yeah, but it is actually preferable to have the conclusion. Okay, any other question maybe?
Okay, sir.
Not yet for now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue then. Yeah, this is the another collision. Yeah, a 6 kilogram steel pad is hit with a 4 kilogram ball moving 10 meter per second to the left. After the collision, the second ball moves 1 meter per second to the left. Yeah, here we don't know the velocity of the first ball. Yeah, it is asked. Again, still let's write down everything we know so far. Yeah, and the assumption is right is positive. Yeah, M1 6 kilogram, V1 is 0 because it is still. Yeah, and the unknown is the velocity of the first ball after the collision. Yeah, V1 quote. For the second ball, M2 is 4, V2 is negative 10, and then V2 quote is actually negative 1. Yeah, because it still moves to the left. Yeah, simply use LCM again. Yeah, although we don't know the coefficient of restitution, but we have quite a lot of knowns known variables here. Yeah, so we can use LCM. Now plug in everything and we get V1 equals to negative 6 meter per second. Yeah, so sometimes the final result for after the collision, yeah, the object may stick together and move to the same direction. Yeah, usually this will happen when the E is actually 0. But for this case, this particular case, we actually don't know the value of E. Yeah, later when you have simulated your LCM in the Unity, yeah, please try if E is 0, yeah, what is the result, and also if E is actually 1. Yeah, you will see that when E equals to 0, the object will move to the same direction. Yeah, either the first pole or the second pole. Yeah, usually it will follow the object that moves with the highest velocity. Yeah, but I could be wrong here. Please try it yourself later. Yeah, but if E equals to 1, yeah, they will simply bounce each other. Yeah, so the conclusion for this case, the first ball moves 6 meters per second to the left after collision. Yeah, the last case is for the bouncing ball. Yeah, a ball is dropped from height h1 above the ground. It bounces upwards to the height h2, and we have the coefficient of restitution between the ball and the ground is E. Then we are asked to prove that E is equals to the square root of h2 divided by h1. Yeah, we have some revelations also here, and it is actually proven, but let's take a look step by step. Yeah. Okay, so we need to draw this case, yeah, this dropping ball for simplify our understanding. Yeah, and let's assume that y positive is upwards. Yeah, so when dropping ball velocity at point P, yeah, right before it hits the ground, yeah, we can derive from the KLPP equations. Yeah, VP squared equals to VA squared plus 2G times H1. Yeah, and then we'll get VP equals to negative square root of 2G H1. Yeah, why it is negative? Yeah, because at this point, yeah, the ball actually still moves to downwards. Yeah, so it has the value of negative. Yeah, and don't really worry about the G. Yeah, maybe if you wonder, if I plug in G equals to negative 10, yeah, then I will get my square root is negative. Yeah, as we know, the square root of a negative value is a complex number. Yeah, or you can simply say it does not exist. Yeah, actually it exists, but in the format of complex number. Yeah, but don't worry because h1 is actually negative as well. Yeah, if we regards h1 as not height but the displacement, yeah, h1 will actually negative as well. So negative times negative is positive. So our square root is still positive. Yeah, don't worry about it. And then when we move upward, yeah, the ball velocity at point C here, yeah, we can calculate with the same manner. Vd squared equals to Vc squared plus 2gh2. Yeah. And then 0 equals to the Vc squared plus 2gh2. We have Vc equals to the positive square root of 2g and h2. And then the ball velocity after the collision is, let's say V1 quote, yeah, equals to the Vc is the square root of 2gh2. Yeah, because the collision happens between the ball M1. Yeah, let's consider the 1 is the ball and 2 is the ground. So the ground velocity before and after collision is actually 0. Yeah, we can plug in everything we know to E because we know E equals to negative V1 quote minus V2 quote divided by V1 negative minus V2. Yeah, because both V2 and V2 quote are 0, then we get negative V1 quote divided by V1, and then you get negative square root of 2gh2 divided by negative square root of 2gh1. Yeah, 2g cancels each other, then we get E is the square root of h2 divided by h1. Yeah, maybe at the high school you only got this equation immediately. Yeah, E equals to square root of h2 divided by h1, but here's how we get this equation. Yeah, but remember that for this formula, because it is involving height, yeah, it only applies for a bouncing ball. Yeah, if the ball moves horizontally, then just use the common formula, yeah, negative V1 quote minus V2 code, and so on. Okay, I think that's all. Oh, yeah, the animation is late. Coefficient of substitution equals to E, then we calculate everything and we got this one, yeah, so it is correct. Yeah, it is proven that E equals to the square root of H2 divided by H1. Okay, I think that's all about the theory of the LCM. Yeah, any questions before you continue to the Unity Lab session?
So far, not yet, sir.
Not yet, yeah. I think I will try to provide you with some examples, yeah, some exercises. It is optional. You don't really need to submit to me for getting grades, yeah, but you may submit it and then I will check it, yeah, whether your answer is correct. Yeah, later I will provide it in Google Classroom. Yeah, for the midterm, I think let's just discuss it at the Google Hangouts, or later I will just announce it in the Google Classroom or via email using my Ubaya. Yeah, later.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so if you don't have any questions, then you can move on to the lab session. I have provided at the classroom. Oh, wait a second. I think I forgot something here. And actually, I have not uploaded the lab yet. Yeah, I will upload to the classroom right away. Yeah, please wait a second. But yeah, at least thank you for joining with the class today. Yeah, we'll see again at the midterm exam. Yeah.
Okay, sir.